Solo Leveling is the most disliked anime of all time on the Crunchyroll platform. Don't believe me? It's making waves online with this statement right here with this news article, but also even Mr. Beast himself. Yeah, this is the official Mr. Beast account, and you could say you like him or not. He's a really huge content creator, and he's even chiming in and talking about it. And when you see statements like this, it's very clear that there is a lot of animosity towards Solo Leveling. And let's get down to the actual context of why it is the most disliked. Well, it's all thanks to this episode 7.5 of Solo Leveling. And for clarification, episode, 7 came out like 2 weeks ago, and then episode 8 came out a few days ago. Episode 7.5 was when we basically had a recap episode that was just a break in between. And I'll talk more about why recaps happen and all that in a second, but the point of the matter is that thanks to, episode 7, which, I want to remind you what happened here, I'll show a brief clip, it was where, Jinwo, he was fighting the Cerberus beast, using the key, and it was very clear that he did not have the strength and power to be able to defeat this opponent. And so he decided that, I'll come back another day. He barely won at the end of this episode. It was a pretty badass episode, legitimately. I don't think it was my favorite episode. I think the episode prior, episode 6, was better. But episode 7 was really, really good. And coming off of, this enjoyable episode, just straight up amazing episode, and going into a recap episode 7.5, it's very clear it diminished a lot of people's expectations. For instance, a lot of people got a little bit upset. They're like, why are we getting a recap only 7 weeks in? It feels relatively crazy. And, having statements like this, it's very clear that this is causing also a lot of people to be like, yeah, why would they do this? It made us depressed, etc. So, yeah, let's explain. So, recaps. Why did the Solo Leveling recap even happen in the first place? Was this a big ploy by the studio working on Solo Leveling to make a recap to really just basically make people upset? No. What it really comes down to, usually when it comes to recaps, is thanks to just production issues and just they're not able to get content done in time. Anyone that has, let's say, watched different anime over the years knows a recap usually happens is because they're behind on production, there's something going on behind the scenes, they need a recap episode there to give the animators and everyone working on it time to finish the upcoming episodes. Because a lot of people don't realize when, episodes are coming out and, for anime, they're sometimes still working on the show. Jujutsu Kaisen as of late is a very good example. When the JJK Season 2 was coming out, they may have released, let's say, I'm just throwing a random number out there, let's say they released episode 5, they could be working on episode 7 or 8, right now, at the studio or something. So, anime is never fully finished when it starts to air. And anyone that is aware of the situation with a lot of anime, especially the studio that was working on, or is working on Solo Leveling and A1 Pictures and all of them, there's been a lot of issues with the studio for over a few years now. I mean, a lot of studios have problems, but we have had a lot of anime delays in the last year. And Solo Leveling was definitely delayed, secretly. It was never fully officially announced, but Solo Leveling was supposed to air last year. It was. But it got pushed back and delayed thanks to all the different other anime that had to have continuous delays. And it is clear that, they weren't fully ready at that time. And so it's always been apparent that there has been fundamental issues behind the scenes with Solo Leveling's production, and it comes down to that's why they needed a recap. They just, they needed more time. That's what it is. Do I think that Solo Leveling deserves to have the most disliked episode of all time and be the most disliked series on all of Crunchyroll's platform? No. There is so many bad episodes and bad anime out there, and the fact that Solo Leveling has the most disliked episode of all time is legitimately shocking. But I guess what it does show, though, is that Solo Leveling really is a big series. It's not necessarily a very small, minor series. It's not something that, is just like a hidden gem, so to speak. Solo Leveling is massive. It is very popular. Love it or hate it, like it or not, it doesn't matter. Solo Leveling is talked about a lot. It is easily one of the most popular webcomics of all time, and it getting an anime makes a lot of sense why there would just be so much talk around it. And so seeing this, dislike bar for it makes perfect sense. I mean, it really, there's no really arguing against it. But, yeah, how do you feel? Do you think that Solo Leveling should be the most disliked, of all time on the Crunchyroll platform? I'm curious. What series do you think actually deserves that award? Be honest. But anyways, I'll leave it at that. It was something very interesting when you have people like even Mr. Beast commenting on it and saying that they're getting a little bit upset about the episode. It's just like, okay, I did not expect that. I mean, Mr. Beast clearly does like anime. He's talked about Naruto and stuff in the past, but it's a little bit shocking. So he's watching Solo Leveling. Wow, that's actually, that's pretty cool. But okay, you all have a fantastic day or night wherever you live. Be safe, stay healthy, and I love you guys. Chibi out.